I want to introduce to you, if you haven't met her, Laura Lane, who is the founder of NPAS. Where is Laura? She's right there. She is. I think it's really important to know where NPAS came from. And my first conversation was with Laura last night during intermission. And she, even now when she talks about NPAS, she talks with a passion, as if she's still here. And that is so amazing to me, because it makes me get excited about what we're going to do next year. And she even gave me some ideas. And you know, we as conductors, you start to talk to each other, and all of a sudden things start happening. It's like electricity, so watch out. Laura, I don't know much about Laura, but I know she was at Mandeville High School, and she was also the conductor at St. Timothy's for many years, and then she moved to Houston. So Houston took her away from us, but Houston gained an incredible music educator and conductor, and she was part of the Texas Music Educators Association. She was in charge of everything, so she left here, but she kept doing everything. And I wondered if she would just take a minute and speak to you about how NPAS began. And so I'm going to turn it over to you for just a minute, Laura.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. She asked me about 5 minutes ago, so let's see what I can tell you. Well, it all began when I was very young. No. NPAS was a dream that was planted in my heart long before it actually came. I loved the arts. I loved choral music, obviously. I was at St. Timothy. I was at Mandeville High School. And it had always been that the only thing I ever wanted to do from the time I was very young was direct choirs. I had a choir, imaginary choir in my head, and I directed them all the time in the living room. I was an odd kid. But it was my passion and my love. And so I have been so blessed to be able to work in a field that I love so dearly, to be able to do that every day as a job. And so I'm the one who feels very, very blessed to have had that opportunity. When I was at St. Timothy, I was just telling someone over there the other day, I was at St. Timothy, and Jonathan, our youngest, was a toddler. And Jim was working, of course, my husband was working, and I was working at the church most nights of the week and every weekend. And I was teaching at Mandeville High School. No, I took a break from Mandeville High School at that point. And he was working, so we basically didn't see each other. I was working all the nights and weekends and holidays, and he was working all the days. And we decided that really wasn't how it was meant to be, to raise this little boy. And so I tearfully and prayerfully decided that I needed to leave St. Timothy. Very, very difficult decision. And literally the day I was walking out of the choir room with my box of whatever on my desk, I ran into a teacher friend of mine I had known at Mandeville High School. She had been the head of the math department, Fan Disher. And Fan said, yeah, if you ever want to start a community choir, I'll help you. I mean, that day. And then very quick, because this seed had been in my head for a long time, that the North Shore needs something like this so desperately. And not only do we need it, but at that time in the schools, there was not a lot of support for the arts. There was a big decline in funding. And so I felt like if we could unify the arts, the visual arts, dramatic arts, all the arts together, we would be stronger as a unit than we would be broken up individually. And so this idea of the original, part of NPAS was to always bring in visual artists as part of the deal, which turned out to be a really interesting experience. And we learned a lot from that. And it was fun learning from the visual artists that they're working with line and texture, and they would sit and say, listen to rehearsal and go, you're working with line and texture and sound. And so it was really a wonderful exchange in the arts community that started to take place. But with the help of unbelievable amount of help and work from Kathy Oggs and a number of other people in this room, NPAS came to be. And we put a little ad in the newspaper, and 150 people came to audition in my living room. Many of you are here and you remember what you sang in my living room. With my toddler crawling around the floor. Yes. That's how we started. And then we needed it we had a choir. Now we need a place to rehearse. And so the Graham building had a vacant floor, and the air conditioning was on and there was lights, but there was nothing else. So we really we pooled our funds to get the money to rent a piano and put it up on that floor for 8 weeks for rehearsal. And it was BYOC, bring your own chair. Because there was no chair, there was nothing up there. It was at the vacant floor. So how many of you people brought your own chair to rehearsal in the early days of NPAS? Absolutely, yes, that's how we did it. And then concerts began in Covington Country Club. And Curtis Leach, again, it was our savior there because there was no lighting. So Curtis built these trees and he put his shop lights from his garage on it. And that was our lighting for the first concert. It was great. So necessity was truly the mother of invention, and the parking there was a problem because the concerts were sold out, which was great. But the parking was all the way down Covington Drive there, and so it became a fundraiser. We could sell the close parking. So you do whatever you got to do in the arts, you work at it like that, but it was interesting. But to say that we couldn't have done any of this without the village that helped make a possibility. Kathy and I were talking last night, how many meetings do we have at her breakfast table and my dinner table, and we are just sitting around hammering out bylaws and all that yucky stuff that's not musical, but it helped bring us to where this organization is today, and I am humbled and so excited to see that it is still here and still bringing so much vibrancy to the community. The other person that was so critical to the beginning of this was Carolyn Connor. Carolyn had, yes. Carolyn was and is a brilliant accompanist, organist, pianist, and she had played for me at Mandeville High School, and then she played for me at St. Timothy, and then when we started NPAS, well, who else was going to play? But Carolyn, of course, and she would, again, in my living room, we would sit and go through reams of music trying to pick the next program, but the memories and the things that NPAS gave to me are invaluable. The opportunities to do programs with Moses Hogan and to direct the LPO and in major works, and Frank Levy out there being Franz Schubert, and we did some really interesting things, and it was just a blessing for me to be a part of it, and I am just so thrilled to be here and see so many old friends, and I love getting to know Alyssa. She's a keeper, y'all. She is absolutely awesome, and I look forward to getting to spend more time with all of you this evening. Thank you.
So we have something to present. Adam, can you help? We have something to present to Laura for, it's a framed poster for this concert. And it is How Can I Keep From Singing? And we hope that you'll cherish that, and just thank you for being you and bringing NPAS together.